Hey, good to see you again. The factory sent over the parts that were looking good on the rig. They're being fitted as we speak. Have a look at the report.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. Today, we've got the penultimate episode of Season 3. We've got a brand new upgrade coming in as well in the form of a chassis weight reduction. Now, that's going to hopefully help us by about a few tenths a lap over the course of this Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. In terms of the driver's standings, we took a bit of a hit. We dropped from equal first to now third. Sebastian Vettel is now a player in the championship, and like I said, we have ceased development on this year's car. So focus now shifts to next year with the upgrade points, so we can't rely on a faster car to make us a little bit closer towards Red Bull. We've got to do all the work ourselves now, and it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Friday practice, we got through all the sessions without a hitch. The pace is actually fairly solid, just outside the top 10 on a set of mediums, so I always look forward to coming to Brazil. Pace is always strong here, so we're going to need a win, we're going to need a clutch round, and that's going to start with qualifying.
Welcome to Interlagos, Sao Paulo. We hope you're enjoying your Saturday afternoon, and we hope you'll stay with us for today's qualifying for the Brazilian Grand Prix.
We don't think you'll have any trouble getting into the next session, so don't push too hard.
You can always count on Brazil to always throw up a bit of weather, and that is no exception today in this qualifying session. Full heavy rain for the entirety of Saturday, so this is going to be an interesting session. We need to make sure that we get in the groove with the conditions, take a lot of time in qualifying one to customize ourselves with the car, with the tires, and make sure that we can put in the best possible laps we can. We are going for more of a balanced setup, like a dry kind of weather setup. We know that for Sunday, the race will be dry at this stage. We don't know 100%, it's going to be cloudy, so we can always account for a little bit of rain, but for the most part, I am focusing on the race and making sure that the car is quick for Sunday. No point making the car quick for qualifying when we're going to make the car an absolute boat in a straight line for Sunday when the points are on offer. But first few laps, going pretty well. We are actually the fastest car in the middle sector, so that's very surprising with 7.6 wings. Wasn't really expecting that, but looks like the AI might be struggling for traction through that middle sector. But as we continue to string together laps, we continue to find time and improvement on every single lap. It did help, though, that I started off fairly slow in my approach to this qualifying session, just building up my pace, not pushing too hard. We can take a lot of wear, a lot of life out of the tyres, because I mean, what I'm saying here is, oh, we go purple, okay. What I'm saying is we can do a lot of long running on these wet weather tyres because the tyre wear isn't too bad on these, so we can just do lots and lots of running without, you know, having too much of a drop off. So that's what I'm doing, just doing a lot of laps in qualifying, getting used to the conditions, and it looks like we're at the point where we're a huge contender, we're a huge challenger in this qualifying session. It looks very, very easy for us at the moment. We go purple once again, 2 laps in a row we go purple, and I think that should see us through to qualifying too, surely. So if I did any more laps than that, I probably would have been taking the piss a little bit because I was used to the conditions. We're safely through to the next session. I don't want to take too much life out of the tyres because we still have another 2 sessions to get through, plus a race on Sunday, which may be a little bit wet. But qualifying 1 is over. We got pole, or provisional pole by 2 tenths. Not too bad. Heading into qualifying 2 now, we're going to use the same set of tyres that we used throughout Q1. And then if we make it through to qualifying 3, which I think we will, then we'll use the brand new set of tyres then. But for the moment, just setting clean laps. Just trying to understand the track conditions a little more. Try and, I don't know, just bank that time and get through to the next session. The first lap we did do was purple, which was nice to see. We carry on for another lap, which we actually pushed a little harder this time. Overstepped the boundaries, and, well, we paid the price for it a little bit. Ran off wide into the escape road, but no harm was done there. We kept it off the walls, just lost a lot of time, and to be honest, I don't even think I need to do another lap in the session. I just parked it there. We're safe in a Q3 anyway, so I just spent the rest of the time in the garage, and you can see we made it fairly easily. I think we were clear by 7 tenths or something like that, so no danger of getting knocked out in that session. So hopefully for the race, it can rain a little bit, because the wet weather pace at the moment looks absolutely amazing. We're just really on the pace at the moment, but qualifying 3 still on the same set of tyres that we've used throughout the entirety of this Saturday qualifying session so far. And I think now the rear tyres are starting to go off a little bit. You can see that. The rear end is just a little bit unstable. As we carry on for the second lap, we pretty much lose the back end everywhere. So we've probably seen the best of these wet weather tyres, and we are going to switch to the new set after this lap, potentially, as we lose the back end there through the final few corners there. We're actually down on this lap, so this is the first time in a very long time that I've done an extra lap, and there's been no improvement. So I think that might be the end of these tyres for this session. So we'll bring it back to the pits. 5 minutes to go. We can still do about 2 or 3 laps potentially, because Brazil is such a short lap time anyway. You can get a lot of lap times in, but we head out on the brand new set of tyres. We are currently in 3rd place, just a couple of tenths behind Sebastian Vettel, I believe. And we're going to go for a full lap here on the brand new set of tyres, where we're going to hopefully challenge for pole position for this Brazilian Grand Prix. Going through the center S's there, you'll notice I am squirming and losing the back end ever so slightly, like I was at the start of this session. But bear in mind, I have a lot more tyre grip, but I am pushing a lot harder than what I was on my banker lap. Through the second sector now, we're 4.5 tenths up, still losing the back end, up to about 5th, 6th gear. It's really treacherous in the wet, having to really battle between traction and wanting to, you know, make up that time wherever you can. But looks like we're negotiating this track fairly cleanly at the moment. No mistakes have been made, and we're almost 8 tenths up. So we're looking very good here for pole position. We just need to hold it together now and make sure that we don't make any mistakes. Still squirming in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th gear. Try and hold on to it as the car just wants to spin around. There's so much torque in these F1 cars. But we go through the essential final corner. 3rd gear, still squirming in 4th and 5th gear. But the lap is pretty much done now. Just go through the gears and run up to the line, where I think we will get our first pole position for Mercedes, and first pole position in God knows how long. That was well and truly needed. We are on pole for the Brazilian Grand Prix. There's no way anyone can challenge us for the rest of this session. And just to make sure, people lately think I'm running with assists on, when I'm clearly not. I think it must be new people to the channel who don't really know what's going on. But there we go. Pole position. We managed to get it by 5 tenths in the end. So I think the AI did find a little bit of time in the last minute or two, but wasn't enough to really look like challenging us. So Max Verstappen lines up on the 2nd row of the grid with me. Sebastian Vettel, who is 2nd in the standings, 3rd place. So we've got an interesting little order here, with the top 3 contenders in the championship in the top 3 for this Brazilian Grand Prix. My teammate Lewis Hamilton, P5, so he could potentially be a rear gunner for me. Hopefully he can get in front of my championship rivals and really make an interesting battle of things in the race. But that's it for qualifying. Everyone is going to be starting on random tyres because we qualified on the wet, so the race is going to be a strategic nightmare. Let's go to the race. So here we are then, on the grid of the Brazilian Grand Prix. First thing is, we have a dry start. It is a bit cloudy, but in terms of the race strategy, we are starting on the soft compound tyres. I thought about changing it potentially, but I think I'm going to leave the strategy how it is. I'm guessing the AI might be on a similar strategy to me, but looking at the live timings there, Verstappen and also Sebastian Vettel are starting on the hard compound tyres, so they may potentially get away with one less stop. We'll have to wait and see. We're in a very unique position where our rivals are on a harder compounder tyre than us, so our goal for this first stint is to absolutely bolt away from those guys because they're on tyres that are 2 compounds harder than I am. 5 red lights and away we go for this Brazilian Grand Prix. A lot of wheel spin off the start. I was edging over to Max Verstappen without even wanting to, but now we're running into turn 1 with Verstappen in the lead. There's contact between the 2 rivals, and well, we're going to have to go around the outside of him here on the exit of the Center S's and chuck it up into rich revs. They're still side by side between the 2 of us. I squeeze out Verstappen to really get that track position over him, make sure that he doesn't take the lead of this Brazilian Grand Prix. It would be an absolute nightmare if he was in front of me on hard compound tyres. And, well, having me not able to overtake him for the lead of the race. But
Okay, the safety car is out. The safety car is out. We need to form up at a reduced pace. Keep a close eye on that delta time. Make sure to keep it positive.
okay, so the safety car is now out on the first lap of this Brazilian Grand Prix. That makes things interesting now. In terms of strategy, do we come in and switch to the hard compound tyres and play it safe? No, I don't think so. I think we're going to stay out, stick to the plan, and build the gap once the safety car goes away once again. It looks like no one at the front of the pack, at least, has made a pit stop. So, essentially, the race hasn't really changed. If anything, it kind of helps us, because we can now go further on into the race before we need to change our tyres and maybe cover off those guys on hard compound tyres. Team radio.
We have 2 stops left in this strategy. We have 2 stops planned. Pit window opens in 5 laps time. 5 laps.
Okay, so that pit window doesn't account for the safety car. So for however long it stays out, I'm going to extend the pit window by 3-4 laps, depending on how long the safety car is out for, obviously. But as you can see there, race director, there is a very even split of so many drivers on so many different tyres. At the moment, it still is a strategy nightmare.
Okay, as it stands, we'll be second in the championship.
Thanks, Jeff. Always handy to know what the implications of the championship are going to be if things stay as they are at the moment. If it is to stay how it is, we'd be trailing Max Verstappen by 1 point heading into Abu Dhabi. So now we're just waiting for the safety car to go out, which I hope is soon.
We're considering switching to an alternate strategy. Do you want to change or stick to plan A?
Not really. I think I will be fine. Looking at that strategy, that is absolutely horrendous. Basically just adding another soft compound tyre stint at the back end of the race, which I do not want. But looks like the lights are out on the safety car now, so we're getting ready to go back on the green flag racing. We've only had half a lap of green flag racing, so I'm quite looking forward to seeing what my pace is going to be like versus the guys on the hard compound tyres. We know from the race director that we just checked, Lewis Hamilton is on the soft compound tyres, so is Sergio Perez. So look out for those guys to potentially carve through this field and really make an interesting time of things. Away we go, once again, for the restart of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let's try and move to the inside, break that slipstream, make sure that the guys behind us don't get any kind of advantage from running behind me and getting a higher top speed. So going through the Center S's for the first time, there's a yellow flag once again. Safety cars often breed more safety cars, and here we go. This is Lewis Hamilton up the inside of one of the Ferraris, that is Sebastian Vettel, and he's now into 3rd place for this Brazilian Grand Prix. Can he get in front of Max Verstappen and really make an easy time of things for me today? That would be the dream at this stage. The more points that Hamilton can take off of my championship rivals, the better. Lap 5, we're going purple here, as this is the first real flying lap of the Grand Prix. Purple. 1 minute 12.275, and Hamilton once again is on the march up the inside of Max Verstappen. Hopefully he can hang him out to dry potentially, but Max gets better track position on the run around the outside of turn 1, and well, holds on to position 2 for the moment. But I'm not going to discount Lewis just yet. Here he comes again, once again up the inside. DRS potentially, no, not yet. I don't think he had DRS. He did have slipstream though, and he moves into 2nd place in this Brazilian Grand Prix. Lap 6 once again going purple. This is exactly what you want to see. I've got a 4, maybe 5 second gap at the moment. I'm just absolutely bolting away, trying to set purple laps, burning as much fuel as I can. And look at this. These are my championship rivals. Raikkonen, no, not Raikkonen, Vettel and Verstappen battling away like crazy, leaking so much time. Here comes Perez on the soft compound tyres up the inside of those guys. And I think Perez gets Verstappen. Verstappen is absolutely falling down the order at the moment. He might be under attack from one of the Williams in a few laps' time, but we carry on. lap 8, and the tyre wear is starting to kick in. I think we might come into the pits at the end of this lap. There's the call. We'll have to wait and see, because I thought about it for a second. I thought maybe I'll stretch it out for one more lap and see how we go. But as you can see here, this is Sergio Perez going purple, who just stopped 2 laps ago. So I was worried about losing the lead to Perez with a massive undercut, so I decided to cover him off, come in at the end of this lap, and put on a set of mediums like we were suggested to by our race strategy. Here's the onboard of Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen going past us on the straight there. We still have a lead of about 5 or 6 seconds. I was getting it to the point where the gap was neutralizing and the AI was starting to make gains on me. That's when I was ultimately going to take my tyre stint to an end. So we got to the point where we started losing time, and then I chucked on the new tyres. So rejoining on the track, we can see Daniel Ricciardo out in front of us. He's actually not for position. He had some kind of issue at the start of the race, and so he's way down the order for some reason. I think the engineer did say he was having a problem where he was going very slow, but in the context of the lead of the race, we got out in front of Sergio Perez. That was crucial for us. We have about a 2 or 3 second lead over him. Now Mercedes is bringing in Lewis Hamilton on the very next lap. So we're going to have the undercut on Lewis. We're going to go up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. Everything's gravy at the moment, up the inside of 2 cars, and that's us into 13th place. So the race now is really coming together quite well. As you can see, we jumped Lewis by quite a few seconds there. So at the moment, we have the lead of the Grand Prix, and I think Lewis might be challenging Sergio Perez for 2nd place. He might have actually rejoined behind him. And then there's the hard compound guys who are staying out really long into this race, where we're going to have a massive undercut on those guys. So it's going to be down to us to keep pushing through this middle part of the race, and then towards the back end where Verstappen and Vettel have softer tyres, they're going to be chasing me down. So it's very important for me right now to get track position, to keep pushing, build out the margin, because later on they will be catching me. Lap 14, we got the inside of Kevin Magnussen, and at the moment I think the only people who are still left out yet to pit are all the hard compound runners. So we should make pretty easy work of these guys as we catch up to Jenson Button. Fernando Alonso makes his stop. So the hard compound tyre runners are near enough to the end of their stint now, as Jenson has a massive lock-up into turn 1. I almost ran into the back of him. He was going that slowly. So it should be night and day, the amount of tyre grip that we have up against Jenson Button. But at the moment, it looks like I'm having a bit of a hard time trying to overtake Jenson here. I thought about a move around the outside. Didn't quite have as much grip as I thought I did. Jenson had a nice recovery on the 2nd phase of that exit, and he holds on to P3 at the moment. Sebastian Vettel going purple on hard tyres, I will add, which is a little bit scary. No mid-session save, so his tyre wear wasn't reset or anything like that. That was a theory that you guys were telling me about in the comments of the last career mode video, but here we go. This is Vettel's pit stop. After really pushing, he was having a bit of hammer time. He's come in for the soft compound tyres. So if he's setting purple laps on hard tyres at the end of their stint, can you imagine the kind of damage he's going to do on fresh, soft compound tyres? I don't want to see the lap times. I don't want to be looking at the gaps, nothing like that. I'm just going to keep my head down and keep pushing. Hamilton is now under fire from Sebastian Vettel and also Max Verstappen, who have all come in for their pit stop now. So the field has been reset. Raikkonen comes in again for his first stop, and he goes onto the soft compound tyres as well. So this is going to be a very interesting race in terms of strategy. I think we're all going to converge onto each other by the end of this race. And it's going to be one huge cluster for the victory of this Brazilian Grand Prix. I just need to take a breather for a second. I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. There's a local yellow through the first sector, so that's not good for my lead. Hopefully there's not a safety car. And there is. But thankfully, it's not a full course caution. Otherwise, my lead would have been evaporated down to nothing. Verstappen and Vettel would have been wolves in the hen house towards the back end of the race, because I still need to put on my hard compound tyres, which is a mandatory tyre. But since it is a virtual safety car, we're going to be coming in. We're about 2 or 3 laps shy of our pit window, but I think we can make this work. Essentially only losing 5-6 seconds in a virtual safety car period when you have a pit stop. So in theory, we'll almost get away with a free pit stop. We will lose a few seconds versus the other guys, but once they all make their pit stops, we might be leading by an even larger margin. We'll have to wait and see.
Sebastian is in P1. Sebastian sat in P1. The difference is 6.3 seconds. They're on old softs. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1:25.8.
Okay, so that's the margin to Vettel, 6 seconds. I know it's a little bit dangerous to leave Vettel in the lead with clear track, but I felt like the risk was worth it to get away with a lot less time lost in the pit stop. But here we go, Lewis is into the pits. It's only a lap or two after the virtual safety car was deployed, so I still think I made the right decision here. We're only a couple seconds behind Verstappen, who still needs to make another stop. So does Vettel. Here he goes now for his medium tyres to finish off this Brazilian Grand Prix. So we'll get an update on the gap once he rejoins the circuit and gets up to speed. But at the moment, only Verstappen needs to come in, and here he comes now. And he's going to be finishing on the soft compound tyres. So Vettel on the mediums, Verstappen on the softs, and I am on the hard. So the 3 championship contenders here on 3 different tyre compounds, and essentially it's going to be one huge game of cat and mouse. Throw in Lewis Hamilton, throw in Kimi Räikkönen, and we could have an interesting finish here.
Vettel is behind you. Okay, the gap behind is 9.2 seconds.
So there is your gap to Vettel, and the gap that we need to maintain for the final 8 laps of this Brazilian Grand Prix. I might have bottled the community race, but that was down to my PC. I'm not going to be bottling this race when the championship is on the line. Hopefully Vettel can stay in second and Verstappen doesn't close him in and get to second place. Otherwise, I would be losing the lead of the championship to Verstappen heading into the final round in Abu Dhabi. The gaps at the moment are coming down quite drastically, 7 or 8 tenths a lap, especially to Verstappen since he's on tyres that are 2 compounds softer than mine. But Verstappen has dropped off the radar and Hamilton is in third. I believe Verstappen might have actually come in again for another set of soft compound tyres. Bit of an odd strategy there from Verstappen, but I'm not complaining. Hamilton in third, and maybe he can potentially challenge Vettel for the back end of this race. He is a few seconds behind there, 11 seconds, so no chance of Hamilton making a challenge on Vettel. But heading on to the final lap, we've been managing fuel, managing the gap. I was down like a lap or 2 in terms of fuel, and I managed to get that down to pretty much even now. So it's ultimately down to myself to keep Vettel behind. The gap is under 2 seconds now, so he's getting dangerously close to potentially getting in the slipstream, getting in the DRS. But we're on the final lap now, and the gap is still 1.5 seconds. He is right behind me though, so he's really been closing at the back end. Since I did come in a couple laps early, my tyre wear has been dropping off quite considerably, but I don't think it's going to be enough. We're going to come across and win the Brazilian Grand Prix, and with that, heading into the final race in Abu Dhabi, we will reclaim the lead of the Drivers' Championship.
Yes! Go on! Awesome result.
Fantastic job, guys. Absolutely flawless all weekend, you guys. As always, it's great to be back up here. Thank you so much for all the hard work. And everyone back home as well. Thank you.
Oh man, what an awesome day for Mercedes. Even Lewis Hamilton himself was happy to be back on the podium after the long spell away from being, well, one of the fastest cars on the grid. It's good to be back on the top step of the podium. Vettel was really closing me down in the closing laps there, but we held strong. Verstappen, don't know what happened with him. He pitted with like 10 laps to go on the option tyres, the soft compound tyres. And with the AI, they tend to stick to their like limits in terms of how long their tyres last, and I think it's like 6 or 7 laps. So no matter what, Verstappen was going to come in again, even though he could have theoretically made it to the end. And there we go. That is the driver's standings. We lead by 4 points over Sebastian Vettel. Max Verstappen drops to third now. So Vettel now is, apart from myself, the favourite to win the Drivers' Championship. He's essentially come out of nowhere, and now he too is ahead of Verstappen. So heading into Abu Dhabi, it's going to be a winner-takes-all scenario, given how close the gaps are between the 3 drivers. Constructors standings very, very close to Force India, so we might be a chance of overtaking them in the Constructors if we have a good race in Abu Dhabi as a team. And yeah, everything else is really falling into place in this career mode.
So the board and I have been talking about your contract, and we all agree the only thing better than a number 2 driver is a number 1 driver. Here are the details.
What? Really? That came as a bit of a surprise. The fact that I've been promoted over Lewis to be the first driver. I would have been happy with equal status, to be honest, but with the team promotion, we now become the preferred driver at Mercedes. We now get some additional resource points when we achieve goals and do that kind of thing. So that's going to be helpful in making the car faster for Season 4. But that has been this episode for today, guys. The Brazilian Grand Prix. We are now well and truly in the box seat to win this World Drivers title. Just look at the turnaround of this season. We've gone on a massive winning streak since joining Mercedes. 3 wins in a row, plus the win today, and also the win in Italy. It really has been such a crazy season. You go back to the start of the season where we were in the Haas, I was saying, we're not going to challenge for the title this year. Maybe next season when I join a bigger team. We switched halfway, and now look at us. We are ahead of everyone, including the Red Bulls, who in the last few rounds, like I've said many times before, they are absolutely falling by the wayside. It's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back next season, regardless of what happens in the final race in Abu Dhabi. But that's been this video for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Smash a like button if you enjoyed. Did I say subscribe to the channel? If you haven't, I don't know what you're doing, but you should subscribe to the channel to see plenty more F1 content. Until the next video, guys, I will see you next time.